Hello everyone, I think this time we are good to go. I'm starting to get my stuff a little bit better every time. Okay. Alright, good to see everyone again. There's already quite a few people present. How's everyone? Welcome back to another stream. Good to see everyone again. Yep. I was just going to wait till the room fills up a little bit. Hope everybody's good. By the way, if you want, feel free to share the video live on either way, Facebook or whatever you work with. I've tried to share there, but something is not agreeing, so. All right, we're starting to link up with everyone. Paddling Fly, how you doing? Chris, how are you? Good to see you guys again. Paul Bork, how you doing? You got on time this time, Paul. Good to see everyone. Yep. Dave, how are you? Welcome back, Dave. Andres, how are you? Good to see all the regulars coming back. So, yeah, we're going to keep on tying a few flies. This time, the usual suspect. Hi, Mike. How are you? So to come a nice little cozy group. This is nice. Like I said, feel free. Hi, Steve. How are you? Good to have you. Yeah, if you want to help the stream to grow, just don't be afraid to share it on Facebook or wherever is your favorite platform to do. Lucas, how are you? How are you from the south? I'd say do you still have snow down in the south? We have nothing here. They keep telling us yellow warning for the last 2 weeks, and there is absolutely not a bit of snow. I even actually mowed my lawn today for the first time. I hate the thing, but that's what's happening here. So, okay, gonna start quickly. News of the week, same thing. Hey Peter, how are you? Good to have you. No much change for the news. Still the same, still confined, still COVID, still no work, but still have plenty time to tie some flies. So I am no weather, crap weather. Yeah, but the same here, Lucas. So Chris, how are you? Good evening, my friend. Good to have you. So yeah, no much news here. I am still waiting for the weather to get a little bit better. Berton, Harry Berton, how are you? Good to have you all the way from Brazil again. That's nice. So yeah, nothing much happening. Weather is still crap. The water is starting to go down, but the water temperature is really cold. So I don't mind at the moment staying at home and filling some decent fly boxes for the new season. So yeah, all the flies that I'm showing there since the beginning of the streams, they're all going in my box for the spring. So if you tie the same one, we'll be fishing the same stuff together. What else do we have? Yeah, I had a few people asking me. Hold on, what is this? Just wires. Yeah, I had a few people asking me what was the story with tube flies. Just have a wee chat about tube flies. Yeah, if you follow me on Instagram or whatever, Paddling Fly, thank you very much. 4 ans que je pêche la mouche au brochet, j'ai appris à monter grâce à toi. Immense merci. Thank you very much, Paddling Fly. I'm delighted. This is why I'm here, just to welcome newcomers and yeah, just free to share. Like, you know, there's no need to keep it for yourself. I mean, we're not all fishing in the same lake, so I don't mind sharing some of the things. It might be different if you're fishing down my lake all the time. No, only joking. It's good to share. I don't mind at all. So yeah, actually I had 4 people over the last 2 weeks asking me about tube flies. So first of all, yeah, it's a very personal choice. I just don't like them. It's yeah, it's just simple personal preference. But the reason I don't like them, I'll give you that very simple. I find that they are fairly limited in their swim. The fact that we use a bite-proof tippet, so we need something that resists the tooth of the pike, so we need something that's not very supple at times. I know even if you put nitty wire or something that's really soft like that in multi-strand, you can have a nice movement in the fly. But I miss hugely when I fish with tube flies. I miss the hinge effect that you have between the eye of the hook and the way you connect to your tippet. So tube flies for me don't have that hinge, and I find them more restricted in their movement. Saying that, tube flies will catch fish. Of course, they will catch you fish, but there is days and times where a more, how would you say, exaggerated swim will produce more fish. Tube flies seems to be dragged by the leader that's pulling them through their body. So I do miss that hinge that having a fly tied on a hook gives me. Benti, thank you very much for the coffee. Much appreciated, guys. Thank you very much. I'm saving all these coffees, and I am on my way to get a wireless mic. So when I can do the fishing outdoors, you can hear what I say, and hopefully we won't have any problem with audio and wind noise. So come back to the tube flies. Yeah. So they are handy because, like, one of the big argument is that you can save your hook, the fly lasts longer. But in all fairness, it's never the hook that fails on me, it's the fly itself, it's the material on the hook. I use hooks that I know I can sharpen again. That's why I'm not too fancy. Julian, how are you? Good evening. Good to have you. So yeah, I usually tie my flies on hooks that I know I can sharpen again. So if I bump a rock, or if the point becomes blunt, I'm able to get a diamond file and resharpen my hook. So I have no problem at all. Andreas. Streamer is possible with different type of hook and material. I find tube flies being very restrictive. Funny enough, if you look at all the videos now of fly tyings, they're starting to disappear a little bit. Then I don't know if they're out of fashion. They used to be really big up in the Nordic countries. In Scandinavia, all you could see about 5-10 years ago was just tube flies. But now more and more there is flies tied on hooks. I find you can change, you can have a box basically of tube flies and they're all going to swim about the same. And you can have a box of flies tied on hook and they all can swim differently. You can have game changers, you can have flashtail whistlers, you can have flies with more or less jig on them, more hanging time. So you better prepare when you go out fishing. That's the only reason I don't really use tube flies. The other problem is the problem that I have with tube flies is to change them. It's a little bit cumbersome. You have to have a system where you can remove the bite wire and put them back. So I don't like fiddling too much. So I like the ease of single hook flies. So that's my little rant on tube flies, and that's where I come from. Let's see a few more questions. Dave is asking if I tie the Murias mouse. I've been tying not Murias flies, but I've been tying big bucktail jigs for my clients here for years. I've been doing that, adding a little twist tail. If you go back on my Instagram, there's quite a few. Actually, I have an order for a few this week going to France, so I'll probably will post that in my stories on Instagram. You can have a look at them. But I don't tie Murias mouse. This is I don't like to copy stuff. I've always tied my flies on a jig hook and I leave them like that. There is other people tying on copies of the Murias, and you can do one yourself very easily too. It's not too complicated. I think it's just a question of having the right body at the front, at the head, to give you volume and to be able to tie your hooks on it, to put the trebles. But no, I tie mine articulated with 2 single hooks, one with a jig hook at the front weighted, and 1 single hook at the back with a big twisty tail usually. Yeah, and that's the difference as well. You can see the difference sometimes when you fish lure fish, and especially soft rubber. You can see the difference that you have between if you use the same size of a swim bait, a soft rubber, in, for example, a 5 gram, and it's changed to a 15 gram, and the action is completely different, but it's the same bait. But sometimes that's what it takes to get pike to commit to eat your bait. So that's something that, again, I find with a tube fly, you're limited. You can put stuff at the front to weight them, but you're still going to have that hanging effect that I'm not too fond. It's good for certain time, but not all the time. So it's just, that's just what I had to say about tube flies. So yeah. And another thing, funny enough, tube flies, the fly that I'm going to tie tonight is a version of a T-bone fly, so with the body tubing, so it'll give you a big bulky head. But another thing with tube flies that I miss is the articulations. I fish a lot of flies for pike that are articulated. I think about 80% of my fly that I use for pike are articulated. Either way, a tail that's moving at the back, or either way, the head in front of the hook. You have an articulation, or go full whack with game changers with 6, 7, 8 articulations. Hi, Paul. Good to have you. Good to see you again. So yeah, that's one thing that you can do with tubes as well, is to articulate them, have different sections. And the articulation, of course, depends how they move in the water. They always change, and you never really get the same behavior of a fly from one strip to the other. So the one, I'm going to show you tonight, it's actually a little hybrid that I've been working on for quite some time. About 3 years ago, I released a video called Junkie the Trunk, and the idea was to have, instead of doing a fly that's weighted at the front, that's what we do. We put either a dumbbell eyes or cone at the front. I extended the body at the back for the tail, and I used to weight the tail of the fly. So it's a fly, instead of going head down, head first, on the pause, it starts to move back and sink from its behind. So the back is weighted at this point here. So it's a very different swim of a fly. It's something that maybe the fish are not used to see if you fish in somewhere that has a little bit of pressure, if you have too many anglers. But I did find sometimes there's days that swim backwards like that really help. So, but on this one, I am going to articulate it. We're going to do a shank at the front, the back, and then we're going to do that tail with little weight at the back. So the weight is handy because you can have it rattles as well. So you get a bit of a mixture of everything with this fly. So that's pretty handy. Let's see. Yeah, we are here. That's okay. So first we're going to prepare the tail. So for the tail, I'm just going to get some heavy mono or fluorocarbon, whatever you want. This is 80 pound. So I'm just going to cut a little bit of fluoro, just little length, nothing too big. That's it, just a little length like that. Just rub your fingers and you can straighten it a bit by warming it up. You don't want too much of that curve. That's it. Starts to straighten a little bit more. You don't have to have it fully straight, but just take most of that curve away. So we're going to put a stopper at the back. So for this, I use, let's see, that little piece here. I don't know if it's going to focus. Probably not. Yes. You see that little T? It's a sleeve in the shape of a T. They're called clevises for building spinners. I find those in any lure building shops. I get all my lure building parts in lure parts in the States. These cost nothing. You get a pack of 100 for few euros. Like, they're very cheap, they're very light, they're made out of aluminium, so they usually normally they used to hold a buzz bait or a spinner blade. I lost that one, is after jumping. I'm not going to look after it, I'm going to take another one. So this is just going to make a stopper at the back of my tail, and it's going to be something to tie the rabbit on it. I'm going to put a tiny bit of rabbit for the tail because it absorbs water and it helps with that weight for the back. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put that clever crimp on the fluoro and I'm going to crimp it. I'm going to leave a little bit of a tag, but that much. There you go, good squeeze. So this is crimped. Now I need a lighter, and the end bit, the last little bit there, I'm going to burn that. I'm going to flatten it on the flat part of that crevice. So you just end up with this little stopper like that. Simple. Now I'm going to tie just my little bit of rabbit on that. You can put any tail that you want. You can put a wave tail. You can put even a wiggle tail. The only problem with the wiggle tail, I find that the wiggle part kind of acts too much as a brake on these flies. So instead of getting them to jerk sideways and then keep on their swim, the wiggle tail, especially the big ones, they kind of break that swim, so they're going to start turning and then they're going to stop with that big wiggle tail trying to flap at the back. So rather something streamlined, you can use schlappens, feathers. I use a little bit of rabbit because it holds a little bit more water. That's it. Andreas, yeah, as usual, I will put that video probably Sunday onto the blog, and I'll link all the materials and a little bit more details I might think of that I don't think about it now. Paul, thanks again for the super chat. Thank you very much. Much appreciated, man. All for the microphone. Yeah. Thank you very much. We're nearly there. So I'll put a little bit of thread on that crevice. And then I'm going to put the rabbit. I had all my bits kind of ready and prepared. So believe me, I'm still out of super glue here because with the lockdown, I try to find some on online, and you buy super glue at the moment and they want 3 times the price for the postage. So I'm just going to use some clear glue Boss 6. It's not the best, but it'll hold. But just super glue, wherever I put that glue, you just put some super glue. So we're going to tie a little bit of rabbit for the tail. You don't need to put too much. We don't want a big tail. We don't want a big bunny tail. We definitely don't want that to be. It's going to be a big fly, so you want to make sure that you're able to cast that. So don't overdo it for the rabbit. Okay, it's what I call whip tail. So just a little bit of section of rabbit, not too long, tied on that piece of mono. Now here comes the junk in the trunk, the weight in it. Thank you very much, Steve. Thanks again for the beer, buddy. So for the rattle and the weight, I'm going to put some glass beads. You find those on eBay, jewelry section. type glass beads, and you'll find all sorts of colors. The good thing with glass beads is that the glass and the metal, you get a far better higher pitch of resonance in the water than if you would bang against plastic. So that glass bead is gonna go first. We have it here. Then I'm going to put a cone. Okay, so we have the whiptail, the glass bead, and the cone. And then I'm going to put, to finish up, I'm going to put one glass bead at the back in front of the cone. So basically, this is what we have now. We have the whiptail tied on that spinning clevis. Now the good thing with the spinning clevis is that when that glass bead's gonna come in contact with the clevis, it's gonna click as well. So you get a really good clicky noise with it, and it sounds louder even than some rattles that you find. I really like it's kind of a deeper sound than a rattle. A rattle is a little bit higher pitch. So this is our tail. This is our heavy tail. Then this is what's going to bring the front of that hook back. It's going to push it back. So that's basically it. Thank you, Andreas. Thank you very much for the beers. I'll be drunk tonight. So I'm going to put the hook on the vise. Paddling, making articulated tails with trailer, just useful. Yeah, I've never had really much problem. I tell you what, the one that usually get cut for me are the wiggle tail. After a while, they do get shredded. But if I would make my tails, I'll make them out of that synthetic faux suede, that faux chamois. It's a little bit more resistant than the wiggle tail. I think wiggle tails at the beginning, they used to be made, the dull color ones were made out of that faux chamois, and they last a long time. These ones last a really long time. And on this tie, I never had much of a problem with it being cut. Not as much as using soft plastic, like they get cut all the time. All right. So we're going to fix that tail. It's about the same length as the shank of the hook, about. I don't want to put too much. It's not something that's going to be too far out. If that tail is a little bit low with the weight, you can bring it back up and bring your thread underneath a few times, just to get a little bit of a dam underneath, just to lift a little bit. Pull on it, and you see it straight away. It's lifting that tail. So a lot of bounce, a lot of movement on that tail, and then you get the effect of the glass beads and the cone moving at the back, up and down. I fish loads of T-bones. It's been a fly, one of my favorite for quite some time now. I really like fishing T-bones. But like I say, mostly anything that's articulated is what I really like fishing. Like, so now we got the tail fixed. We're gonna put a bit of bucktail now. not too many hairs. This is just because you don't want too many hairs to tangle onto this. You still want these beads to fly freely. It's just for a question of aesthetic, really. So we're going to put a little pinch of bucktail. About the length. Not too long. And we're not going to squeeze it too much. We're not going to singe it too much because we don't want it to flare. We want it to keep it a little bit streamlined for the tail. So a few loose wraps, bring it forward, and then you can singe forward. You see now it's the front that's flaring and not the back. The back is still fairly straight. I'm going to cut the excess. Alright, that's the start of the fly. Now we're going to put our first, bring the thread forward a little bit. We're going to bring our first bit of body tubing. This is the small one. This is the 6mm. This is great for the any body tubing that you put inside the body to give some volume in the body of the fly. So yeah, the 6mm is really good. I give you some measurements like that as we go. I'm gonna cut a bit in and around 3 centimeter long, 30mm. Burn the end. Okay, that's our first bit of body tubing at the back. We're going to put a little bit of bucktail again. Same technique as when we did the rat the other day. Just get your bucktail, shuffle it a little bit. Take away the really long hair. And spread them all around the hook shank and the cone. At this stage, if you need a few more, you just grab them, fill them up. Now you don't want too much, just to fill all around your body tubing. We finish in here and close and cut. And now we push the body tubing back. And we got our first back section now. Now nothing stops you now. I'm going to put a little bit of flash. I'll get the thread back on. For this one, this is the usual from Fly Tires Dungeon. It's the H2O. There is a nice mixture of UV pearl and copper in it. I like it. It's a nice blend. Where do I get the body tubing? Body tubing, you can get it from all good fly tackle shop if you want, or you can get it straight from Flymen. They were the first, I think, fly fishing shop to sell those. Or you can use the one that are exactly the same for cable management. If you go on the blog, go back to the body tubing mouse and you will find the address, but I'll probably will put them back on Sunday on the blog. I will link all the addresses anyway. So that's where the body tubing come. Actually, I'm gonna have to put an order because I am running low, so I'm not gonna make it too flashy, just enough to have a little bit of a reflection. Get a few strands. I'll do. Don't want them too long. I'm going to cut them off a bit. Spread them around. No problem. Yeah, Sunday I'll put all the address. I used to have quite a few shops based in the UK, so I don't know now with the Brexit how these things are faring, how it's going to change for us. Just created a lot of mess for not much, but now we're just going to get a little bit of chenille. We're going to fill the middle of the shank because we're going to try to keep that body as light as possible, because we do have the profile with the body tubing and the bucktail, so we don't need to overload too much. So I'm just going to put some chenille. Any kind of a long chenille will do. Hackle flash is just to fill a little bit without putting too much weight. Just hide the shank of the hook. It doesn't look as too ugly. We're not going to put the chenille all the way. We're going to leave at the front because we're going to put our second body tubing now for the body to finish that body. Okay, second body tubing like the back one. I'm going to cut a little bit longer, but 35 mil. I think 30 mil was a little bit just at the back. It's better to cut them a little bit longer. It'll give you more room to work with than cutting them too short. So yeah, if you want to see what I do with the body tubing, I did explain in other videos. Just cut the bit, burn the two ends, and all you have to do is push the body tubing inside and catch the inside part with the outside, get them to match, and you make just a cone like this. And then we're going to push the cone onto the hook, and when you tie with your thread, make sure that you catch the two sides, the outside and the inner side. Most of the time you catch the outside but forget the inside, you miss it, and when you push back the cone, it's not going to work. It's going to become loose and you'll know right away that you got it wrong there. Okay, now bucktail, and we're going to go slightly heavier with the bucktail, a little bit more. Same thing, we shuffle a little bit. After once you have that kind of a body and head management, you can tie any types after of T-bones I've tied some with like 5-6 articulations, so each section is just a bit of body tubing and some bucktail. They really worked well, these ones. Now we're about not too bad here. All around. Whip finish in the middle. You can put some glue in there as well. Yeah, the body tubing that you find in the pound shop and in deals and all that, it's definitely not the same. It's the one that's used for hair. So it's a lighter one. The one used for cable management is really good because you can weld it. That's what I do when I burn the ends. It really welds and close. The one that's sold in pound shop, yeah, they usually designed for hair product, and they're definitely not as strong as these ones. These ones will last you for a long time. So, but they will work anyway. Same thing. So there you go. This is our first section now. So this is what we have about. And the beads. Getting that nice bang. Now this is our first section. We're going to put now the shank at the front. So this is a big game shanks from Flyman. This is the, I didn't bother making my own for that because I have some of those in stock, so I might as well use this. Okay, if he wants to slide on the hook. Okay, now we're going to finish the back of the body, and we don't want to put a head on that one. Okay, I'm going to start just with a little bit of chenille. Just a few turns here. It's just for the section between the body and the head. Julian, thank you very much. Thanks again. Thank you guys for supporting the channel, really. It'll come a long way. Thanks again. Hello, love fishing. Okay. We're nearly there. We're going to put one more body tubing, small one, and then we'll finish with the head. So another section, about 35 mil. Burn the end. So yeah, I just put the shank, a little bit of chenille here. Not too much, about 3 turn. I want to put another bit of body tubing here. Make sure, like I said, that you catch both sides, the inside and the outside. Same again. Bucktail. Shuffle it around. Make sure there's not too many straight ends from the cut. Get a more natural look like that. Put a little bit more this time. Put some here. And on the other side, It's nice and full everywhere. These flies, you want to fish them not too fast. Big long pause in between. Let that fly settle back. Hello, love fishing. Thanks for coming. Yeah, when you strip, it's usually going to turn, doing that jerk movement to the side. By the way, this is one of the reasons why they call T-bone, is that usually the pike take them when they're presenting themselves sideways. So usually the pike is behind, he sees the fly right behind, follows it, and all of a sudden you pull and pause, so that fly is going to turn and present itself sideways, and usually this is the time that the pike usually attacks. So make sure that you don't have any slack line after when you have that pause. The added advantage with this fly is that it's going to turn and start keeling through the back like this. And then when you're going to strip it again, it's going to pull the head back down again and turn again. So it has a kind of a different swim than the usual fly, slide to side and then sinking with the head first. So always make sure that you have good connection, a good line, feeling when you do the pause. Like, that's quite important. Okay, we're going to put a bit more flash in here now. I'll put it right in the middle. Put it sideways, bring it all around. And whip finish in the center. Nice and tight. I know. So yeah, sorry, I forgot to change the camera. All I did is in the middle, I added the flash, a little bit of flash, whip finish, and push back. So this is where we're at now at the moment. So we got the movement with the articulation, the noise. Now you see how heavy it is straight away. It's just drops. That's good. That's what you want. And now we're gonna add the head. If you want at this stage as well, you can put some feathers if you want to do some fins on the side. Synthetic, yes, you can do it with synthetic, Mike. For that, I would use canicalon. Simple short length of canicalon. So when you put them in the middle, they're nice and stiff. So yeah, you can definitely use synthetic as well. But yeah, I would use the canicalon because in short length like that, it sometimes it can feel like bucktail as well, like fine bucktail. You get that spring into that synthetic. Of course, it'll sink a little bit faster after, but that's not really a big problem. Like, so I see. So now, if you want to put some wings for extra movement, you can get some schlap ends. These work well as well for if you want to make for tails. I might make a small single hook without articulation after. Okay. If you put at the front of the of the body tubing, it's going to help the feathers to open up a little bit. You can use any feathers, like you can use some grizzly hackle if you want. Okay, now the head. So putting the feathers there on the side, it's totally optional. They usually get ripped anyway, so it's only for a little bit of a flank and a bit of colors, like. Yeah, when feathers turns when you tie them. First of all, depends on what side of the fly you want to put your feather. Some you will see that are easier to put on one side to the other. That's simply to the fact that on which side of the bird it comes from. Feathers have a different bend if it comes from the right side or the left side of the birds, especially from the on the wings. Use a flat thread, so when your thread is hanging, just let it loose so it becomes flat. Don't spin it, don't have it spinning too much, because that's going to tighten the thread and you're going to have a narrower proportion of thread onto your feather, so that's going to pinch it and it's going to make it roll as well. So try to have your thread as flat as possible if you can do that. Russ, Happy Friday without the pub. This is the pub now. This is the new pub. Better than the pub. All right. For the head, we're gonna get some foam now. I'm gonna take some. I think this is 2 or 3 millimeter foam. We're just gonna cut some strips. I'm gonna cut 2 strips, about 4 mil. I have 2 little strips of foam. I'm gonna tie them onto the shank. Home entertainment is right. I cut off the excess. Now that's going to help that fly to sit with the head up proud. It's going to give a little bit more buoyancy towards the head, and it's going to give some somewhere for the body tubing to rest and hold. So I have some nice tan body tubing here. I'm gonna give a burn. This is. Thank you for the double beers. 1 in each hand. Thank you very much. Which one? This one is 15. This is 16 mil, this one. No, you couldn't do that in the pub. Okay. Got a nice bit for the head. So I said I was 16 mil for the width, and I'm after cutting about 60 mils length. Thank you, Mike. That's you got me the double beer. Thank you very much, Mike. Much appreciated again. Okay, this is just to finish the head. So this is what's gonna get noticed by the pike. That big head at the front, that big noise, that big water pushing. We all know how important now water pushing is because everybody's doing it, but we used to do it before. Typical lifetime of a schlappen on a fly when catching lots of pike. If I would tie them for the side like that, usually not too long. It's more decoration than more aesthetic than functional. So I wouldn't worry about these ones I'm after tying. This is just for an extra color. They work exactly the same without schlappen. But if I tie like the one I'm going to do after, I'm going to do one just on a single hook. Every time at least I double my schlappen if I not treble one, because they can get cut off and they don't last too long. After, it depends how lucky you are, how the pike takes it. It's a bit like a soft plastic lure. You can have some that hold for a long time in your box, and you can buy a brand new one, and the first pike will cut the tail of it. So it's a little bit due to luck as well. But on the side like that, they don't last too long. On the bottom of the tail, they last a little bit longer. But again, I double them to make sure that even if one gets cut, I still have a full functional tail. Okay, now we're at the head. We're gonna go finish with bucktail. Now this time I am not gonna shuffle the bucktail. As you can see, I'm just gonna take the lump, keep the straight edge, and I'm gonna just tie it like this and cinch it. Get the volume like that. You get super big volume on the head. I'm going to do the bottom. Again, don't shuffle it, just keep your straight hand onto the body tubing. Spread it and cinch. Whip finish. Flip that head. Give it a good squeeze. And now we have the thing there. I'm just going to take off this side schlappen so you can see better. They're a little bit too big. Make sure the hairs are everywhere. So yes, this is one way of tying a T-bone. So we have the big heavy tail with the glass beads and the cone at the back. And then we get all the volume with this body tubing without adding too much weight. It's a fairly lightish fly to fish. It doesn't hold water. And you're going to get that side to side movement. And then after on the pause, you're going to get that back flipping down. So a little bit different. They never bite your flies. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think if it's super lucky. Yeah, super unlucky. Yeah, you're definitely super unlucky if you don't bite your flies. So this is it. That's the first one. That's the articulated one. This is one that I fished fairly often now here. Really like it. You can put eyes if you want. I tend to try to keep that head a little bit on the light side because I put the foam in it. So I really want that head to start floating, and for these beads and cone to go at the bottom of the tail and start to sink slowly like this. So different type of T-bones that you see and different type of fly, but a lot of movement. Oh, thank you, Lucas, after giving great donations there on the super chat. Thank you very much, buddy. Thank you, much appreciated. Thanks, guys. It's really nice to have you. So that's one that you can do. You can do variation. You don't have to put rabbit at the back. Like I said, you can put a wave tail after the size of the cone. Depends on how much bucktail you're going to put. But any normal medium cone is plenty for this. Okay, so that would be my main bread and butter T-bone fly. And then after, the other one I will do is just on a single hook, and super simple. We're going to tie the same, about 2 small body tubing for the body and then the big one for the head. We're going to keep about, I'm not going to mess too much with the colors and take too much out of this place in bucktail. I'll have to go through the boxes, but I'm going to do in about the same colors. Might get some few extra feathers for this one, for the tail. Yeah, the tail. Yeah, I really wanted something that completely changed the swim of a streamer that we're used to see and that the pikes are used to see. So it's always then the head that's heavier most of the time, either way by using clips at the front, or if you add weights, or if the fly is tied with dumbbells. It's always the head that starts tilting at the front, and this one is the arse. So yeah, different. But give it some pause. You need that fly to settle and start getting that change of dipping through the back, and then you can start jerking it again. It's going to settle and back down again. So give it some pause. Any flies, it's important to pause them most of the time, unless they're crazy on the feed and you can't roly-poly hard enough for them. But usually it's a bit like cat and mouse. They do like pike love pauses. You need to pause. All right. We're going to start this one with some schlappen, and I'm going to get some, I think I have here. Where is it? I'm going to dig some bigger feathers. They're underneath the desk. Of course, it's the last box that you pick. It literally is the last box I have. Okay, schlappens, and we're going to go with, put a little bit of color. These are great, expensive, but these are the whiting schlappens. These guys here. You get a nice pack. These are the big long ones. So for tails and movement, these are absolutely fantastic, but they are expensive. I think it's €16 per pack, but they are worth it. Like you get these big, long, greasy schlappens. They're quite nice. So, like I said, yes, if you see, most feathers all have a certain curvature in them. You kind of have a front and a back if you want. So for the first, I always double them, like I said. So I take two that are kind of similar in shape and form. I overlap them. And if you see this one is pulling, if you put it straight, it's pulling towards this side. So I'm going to put this one on the outside of the hook. So you get a nice flare on both sides. You get 2 feathers going that side and 2 feathers going that side. Another thing too, that works for feathers and bucktail. When you start putting them on the hook, don't go hard on your thread. The first few wraps never go hard. Always do 2-3 loose wraps. That's going to give you a little bit of a position of your thread on the fly, on the material. And then once you start to see that it's sitting the way you want it, then you can start tightening that thread. But don't go hard straight away as soon as you put material on your hook. Now we're going to get 2 more and 2 more on the other side. That's an awful one. That looks like it's been munched by a fox. Yeah, sometimes you get good ones, sometimes you get bad ones. That's the hardest thing when you buy online. Natural material online is very hard to buy. To get a constant good quality, there's always a time where you get a little bit disappointed. So now we have these ones. They are going on that side, so they're going to go the other side of the hook. So we have the first one, as you see, they're going this way up, and we're going to put the other one opposite side. Same length. Sorry, I forgot to change the camera. I got it now. Okay, so we have 2 and 2. You see, you get the nice opening of the feathers. 2 going that side, 2 going that side. So that's going to give you the movement as you pull. These flies on feathers are naturally want to pull back out normal to their natural state. So you get a little bit more free movement. Now we can put a couple of these grizzly schlappen at the back. Try to find 2 nice ones. 2 that are roughly similar to each other. They're held with a rubber band, fairly tight. Try to get this one out. Come on. Okay. So these ones, I'm just going to put them on the top of the hook. 1 on each side. Right on the top of the hook. 1 and 2. Top of the hook, but slightly to the side. You see, I have 1 on the side and the other one on the other side. Same thing. They open up. Give you volume and movement. Now that's the tail nearly done. We can add some flash now. Flash on the top. I'm going to spread it out a little bit to the side. Squeeze it with your thumb. Now that's basically the tail done with schlappens, and actually it's all schlappens on this one. So we have 4, 5, 6 schlappens. So if you get 1 or 2 bitten off, you still have enough to keep on fishing, and the fly will still last. Like a fly like that, you should at least have it for a full season, like before it's too munched. Unless you're lucky and you fish areas where you regularly get good days, But here with the weather pattern that we have, it's always changing, and so is the mood of the pike. We never have the pike in a eating mood. Unfortunately, they can be very capricious. Christian, salut, bonsoir Christian, merci d'être venu. Oh, you got some Fisker scissors. Yeah. You can't go wrong with Fiskers for pike. Like I said, we're not tying flies on size 18 hooks. We're tying big flies, and I find the Fiskers are great. Like I've never been disappointed with the Fiskers. Okay, I'm gonna do slightly different. We're gonna put the body tubing first, so we're going with the small 6mm. I'm going to tie about 35-40 mil long. Actually, this is more 40, I'd say. I'll give you a measure. This is actually 50 mil long, this one. Dave, yes, the blog is simple. Even if you type Norbert Renaud, my name, with Blogspot, it should pop out. You'll find it no problem. The blog that I do is on Blogspot. So you type my full name, like on YouTube, Norbert Renaud, with Blogspot, and you'll find me no problem at all. Love fishing, like it. Yeah, that's it. It's all about getting IDs and then applying them to yourself. You don't have to tie exactly what I'm tying. This is just the base. It gives you an idea of what you want to do, what's adapted to your situation. Okay, now as you see, I just put the body tubing but no bucktail. I'm going to flip it. I'm going to leave it like that, and I'm not going to put bucktail now. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the bucktail actually in front of the body tubing, so it's going to create a bridge, and it's going to push the bucktail even more so outwards. So you get a lot more volume that way. Spread it all around the hook. Now you see that bucktail is sitting in front of the body tubing. It's naturally flared and it's not going to collapse. It's going to stay fairly flared like that because of the body tubing holding it up, holding all these hairs and giving them volume. So that's another way. You don't have to put the bucktail inside the body tubing like we did on the previous tie. Okay, now we have that. Now we just have to put the head. Now at this stage, this is again, this is a fairly base that I'm giving you. You can add articulation if you want at the front. You can keep on building more section like that if you want, with body tubing and bucktail at the front and so on. Like I said, I'm only giving you the bases. After you can expand yourself, but that's a nice little fly that give you loads of presence in the water, pushes a lot of water. Has a little bit of an erratic movement because of that big head that's kind of pushing the fly sideways, up and down. And it's super easy to cast. It's a light fly, very little material, a few feathers, a little bit of bucktail, and that's it. Like, so it's an easy one to cast and fish. Yes, Nicola, we are able to go and fish at the moment in Ireland, but we are only allowed to fish within 5 kilometers from our home. So for me, I don't mind too much because I have water right beside the house, but for a lot of people it's kind of hard because not everybody is blessed to have water just on their doorsteps. But even so, at the moment the weather is so cold, the water is so cold that I'm not really pushed to go out fishing at the moment. I'm just tying flies, waiting for that water to start warming up, and then I'll be able to get out. But we can do a bit of fishing at the moment, yes. Yeah, the flasher. Yeah, I definitely use it. I love it. Another good fly. Like all the fly that you see on my YouTube channels are basically all the fly that I use, or that are present in my boxes. The flasher. Yeah, I really like that fly. Simple, fast tide, Kanika, long Congo, and some flash. Simple, and they last a long time as well. They're very resilient flies. Very resilient. Hey, Colop, how you doing? Good to see you. Yes, you can watch it after. So now we're gonna do the head on this one. So one little trick for the heads is always put some kind of a base to help that head to sit and not roll on itself. One thing I forgot to mention here on the other fly is when you're finished at the end, put a bit of glue in here, so that get something that's a little bit liquid that goes inside, so it's gonna help that head not to make it spin on the shank. But it shouldn't. With the foam that we put, it should anchor itself. So that's why on this fly, just with a single shank of a hook, because the body tubing is quite bulky, you're gonna have the head that's gonna start spinning after a few fish. So you want to build a nice base underneath. So for that, you can easily put a rubber band that you wrap around. Or what I like to use is just some of that faux suede that I used to make my tails. I cut a small little strip, and I'm gonna just palmer around the hook. That's gonna give it a little bit of room for the glue to catch and to soak. So I'm just gonna wrap it around and tie it down, and that's it. So I have just that little bit of faux chamois, faux leather, and that's gonna give it a good base. So nice and tight. Don't forget to use glue. I still have no glue. But yeah, I use glue all the time. Thank you, Colop. Thank you for the super chat. Alright, now the head. Same thing, we're at the 15-16 mil wide. This is the big one. You get a nice big head. Bird in both ends. The usual, we're going to push it in, create that cone. Takes a while to get used to body tubing. The first, it's a little bit daunting. It doesn't really want to do what you want it to do. It's kind of fighting with you, like it is doing now, but you'll get used to it. You'll be able to walk from it. So that's it. Now I created the nice cone. Again, the two sections that meet up at the end. And we're just going to tie it down. Glue it. So put loads of glue. I'm going to put some of that glue. It's not the best, but it's something. That's it. Cinch that. Nice and tight. Now I'm going to put the bucktail exactly like the head of the other one. So we take the length of bucktail. We're not going to mix it. We're just going to keep it like this. Put it right on top. Flatten it, spread it out. Always hold pressure on that thread with the bobbin so it doesn't fall off. And then we're going to flare it. Now we're going to pinch it and tie it. That's it. And we're at the half side, and we still have a little bit of an opening here. So we're going to get another bit of bucktail, and we're going to fill up that last bit. Christian, thank you very much for the beers, my friend. Much appreciated. I always say that, but I do mean it. It's a really nice bit of support you guys give. If I can share the flies that I tie here with you, it's only normal. Alright, whip finish that. Singe it. You can put some glue in there, fold back. There you can put some eyes. This is a simple mini T-bone if you want so. Loads of movement, loads of freedom in that tail. These are light, easy to cast. Mike, the wider, the longer. I'm not too sure I catch what you mean. The wider, which is wide, which is long. I'm not too sure. Thank you, Dave. Yeah, that's just a simple T-bone. The easiest you can do. One bit of tubing in the body, and then a bigger one for the head. Paddling, yes, there will be a live session for the jerk changer. I got a lot of positive from you guys on Instagram and through direct messages. So yeah, the jerk changers, I will be making them into an upcoming stream. Body tubing. Yes, I get you now, Mike. Yes, definitely. When you cut your body tubing, the wider it gets, the longer you need to tie it to create a good cone. That only comes with a little bit of experience and maybe throwing or wasting a few things. Thank you very much. Thanks again, man. Yeah, definitely. I think we're right on budget to get that microphone, so I'll be able to talk on the water now, and you'll be able to hear me. That's always kind of refrain me on the water, is that you talk in the GoPro and you go home and all you hear is wind and here it's always windy, and it's not easy to have a good mic on a GoPro, especially with the weather we have. So hopefully this little wireless one should help a great deal. So yes, the jerk changers, they are made with I made those with Congo hair. These ones are made with the Blaine chocolate body wrap. That's the kind of a body wrap that's already made for the game changers. I checked on their website. Funny enough, it's not there available at the moment. So Andreas, I'll be doing the leaders next Friday. Next Friday we'll be doing leaders and tying some fly, and I think the Friday after we'll probably do the jerk changers. So yes, the only difference with the jerk changer is that the hook is placed much further back on the fly. You have a big section at the front, and that fly kills itself with a heavy hook, or you can put some weight at the shank of the hook here to kill it, and then it's basically it's basically a game changer. You get that snaky action in the water, plus the jerk movement as well on the pose and the strips. So it's a good little fly. I really like it. So yeah, that's it. This is kind of a T-bones body tubing, easy T-bones, one simple single hook, and more complicated with the weight at the back. Like I said, this one you can tie it without the weight. You can tie it a hybrid of these two into one. It's up to you. Once you get that technique of handling your body tubing and knowing the size that you need to use, the world is your oyster. After you're free to tie any sort of thing, it's easy. Like I say, you get that volume right away. I like it. It protects the fly. Funny enough, that head, when you bump it onto the ground or onto stones, it kind of give you a little bit of protection, because it's the body tubing head that's going to take the hit. And then it creates just that very, very how would you say, you can't really know which way the fly is going to go on each strip, because that head is going to make it move. It can go up, it can go down at one time, so it's a very erratic, and I like it. I like these flies that have a mind of their own. It kind of keeps a little bit more to the natural prey, I think. And that's why I'm not a fan of the tube flies. Coming back to that, this is basically why I wanted to do these flies and talk to you about the tube flies now, for that freedom of movement and all the sort of thing you can do with adding weight, and for that one, putting weight on the back instead of the front. So it's a different one. So yeah. Thanks again, guys. Yeah, next week we'll be doing the leaders. I will be showing the leaders that I am using myself. Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. Thanks again for coming and being part of the stream. Yeah, we'll be doing leaders, and I'll be showing you just the type of leader that I use here, the one that I've been using now for the last a good 5 years now. I've been using this type of leader, and my failure rate has dropped down to basically 0. I have no lost fish, I have no broken fish, I have a very safe leader and very simple. I think it's one thing that you can complicate yourself for tying flies, but for leaders, definitely don't. And I think too many people overcomplicated themselves on building leaders for pike. Thanks, guys. I'm glad you enjoyed this one. Yeah, it's a little bit different, body tubing. Like I said, it's funny. We don't see too many body tubing in Europe. It's something that is very popular in stateside. All the musky guys, there wouldn't be one musky guy without body tubing in his box. Very important flies to them. And these ones, yeah, they work for pike as well. So get on it and tie a few, definitely. Thank you, Lucas. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Paddling. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Paul, Dave, Andreas. All the one that I've maybe forgotten. Julian, thank you very much. No, I did. Julien is asking, never seen body tubing fly with a game changers. No, I did tie some. I have some in my boxes as well. That's what I mean. Once you get the basis of these different flies, up to you just to explore and do your own thing too, you know. But yeah, all this can be hybridized and mixed together, and you can create new flies. Body tubing head with game changer definitely works. Definitely works. Chris, thank you very much. Been a pleasure tonight. I really enjoyed that stream. It's funny, every time I think I've done a really short stream and I look at the time, we're just past an hour and a half. So yeah, it's not bad. A little bit fast, but okay, I felt. So you guys keep safe. Have a good week. Have a good weekend. And I'll see you next Friday. Next Friday we're going to make some pike leaders. I can't remember if I decided what fly I'll be tying, but we'll be tying some flies as well, so don't worry. Interesting evening. Thank you very much. I'm glad you found it interesting. That's the main thing, guys. And as usual, if you want anything to talk to, like I'd request to talk about the tube flies this week. If you guys have anything that you want to be talked about, could be anything, like using nets for pike, or I don't know, like float tubes or whatever. We can have a chat. That's not a problem. Thanks again. I'll see you next week, and have a great weekend, guys. And thank you again for all the donations. You guys are absolutely awesome. And yeah, so happy. I'm glad to do that for you guys. All right. I'll find a little intro and transition, and I'm off. And I wish you a good night. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.